Welcome back to the Sip and Feast podcast, episode number 48. Some big news today. Really big news, right, Tara?
Yes.
It's not a goodbye. I just want to tell you that right off the bat, okay? But season 1 of this podcast, which has gone on, if you include today, for 48 weeks, is coming to an end. Tara, she does such a great job of always writing all these notes down that a lot of this podcast is done by her. Like a lot of the work, the behind the scenes stuff, coming up with the ideas, coming up with the topics. A lot of this is Tara. It truly is. And once again, Tara wrote up all of this right here. I asked her if you want to read it. You want me to read it though, right?
Well,
we'll expand upon it.
Yeah, I mean,
of course, we'll espouse, right? Is it espouse? Is that a word? Espouse? God, this was like the downfall always, my trying to come up with these words. I make up words all the time, like moister. Okay.
You're good at it.
I do.
Yeah.
All right. So again, this is the final episode of this season. Think of this as season 1. I mean, spring, right now we're filming this, spring, summer's coming up. So we're going to be going away a few times this year. You're going to be going away probably a few times this year. And honestly, it's probably the best spot for us to take a pause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think, we kind of need to take a pause right now with some of the things that we've got going on, which I know you're going to touch on.
Yeah. Again, we're taking this pause to kind of refocus, redouble our efforts onto what is the most important things. Like, what are the most important things, not for us, but for you? And you might be saying, Jim, this is the most important thing for me. That's why I'm listening to you. That's why I'm watching, you every week on this podcast. That might be so, but I doubt it. I think you know us from our other endeavors. I think you know it from the cooking videos, you know it from our recipes on the website, etc. Like, this is not the first thing you found us on. This is probably, you're like, oh, they have a podcast also.
Mm-hmm.
One thing we keep hearing, and this is via email predominantly, a lot of you like to communicate through email with us back and forth. When like younger people, I think Gen Z specifically, but also millennial, because we're not millennial, I'm Gen X. I'm a very distinguished Gen X individual. But younger millennials and Gen Z will always say email is worthless and it's going away. That is 100 billion% untrue. It will never go away. It's one of the most intimate ways to communicate, for us to communicate with you, but for you to communicate with us. We get often the best contact, best relationship, best discussion through email. So through email is where a lot of you have continuously asked about the cookbook.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So Tara reads the emails more than I do.
Yeah, and it's not just via email. We continue to get messages on social, so on Facebook, Messenger, and especially on the website. So if you were to read through some comment on different recipes, people are not even commenting on the recipe itself. They're just saying, where's that cookbook you talked about 2 years ago? So with the combination of email, social, and what's the other one I'm missing?
Well, nobody calls us on the phone.
Email, social, and the website. That's it.
Website.
It seems like the cookbook is something that people want, and people have been asking for the cookbook for years now. And it's something that I know we've talked about on the podcast before, some of the challenges with doing the cookbook, but it's becoming more and more clear to us that it's something that we have to do for our audience.
Yeah.
And it's something that we want to do, but it's something that will take a lot of time and will take a lot of resources. And that's why...
Well, why don't you go into that? How much time does an episode of this take per week for us? It's conservatively. I don't even edit this. My editor edits this for me, which would add more to the time. Probably about 10
day,
hours. About 10 hours, I would say.
At least a full day.
And we were initially I was marketing it. This is why if you are watching us right now, there's 3 cameras here. I had every intention of creating clips and then putting those clips on, say, Instagram or YouTube Shorts, TikTok, though TikTok's getting banned. Thank God. I'm happy about that, but all of those were it was more time consuming to do it. And I almost felt a pressure to do that. So it was just getting to the point where it was a lot of effort for not as much. I don't want to say reward. That's not the right way to look at it. Reward for you. So as many of you who are listening and watching this right now, there are way more of you who are still waiting for that cookbook. So the cookbook is going to be a big endeavor, but it is probably the single most important thing I can do. And I almost look at it as like volume 1 of maybe 5 or 10 to come, because I probably do have 5 or 10 in me. And especially as I think I move on to that next stage of my life, I could see myself really doing it. Again, this isn't over for this podcast. I wanted to do this initially to be able to have a venue to really speak to you. I thought it's probably the most intimate of all ways I can do it, especially me, because I'm not a writer. I can't write well, but I'm better at speaking like this. But ultimately it was just, I have to make a decision, and we both came to this decision together. It wasn't like one of us was like, we got to keep doing this, and then we could put the cookbook off. We both kind of realized the cookbook needs to take number 1 priority.
Yeah, at this point in time, that's what we're hearing from our audience, which includes the podcast audience, but includes all of our email subscribers, the folks that visit our website, and those who subscribe and watch the YouTube videos on the main YouTube channel.
The podcast audience might be a little bit different. I don't know. I would just say I'm probably watching the cooking videos. And because of this, if we do stop this for now, we might be able to get a couple more cooking videos out per month, which I think is extremely important. We have almost 500 recipes on our website, and we have 270 YouTube cooking videos. I would like it to be almost all of those recipes to be in video form, because a lot of people just don't learn any other way now. It's just video. And you know how I feel about long form video is for the instructions. Short term video is not instructional. I actually just realized this now. It's actually more promotional. So that's kind of where we're at with that. We do really want your opinion, though, on this. So going back to that email thing, if you're not subscribed to our email list, I recommend you do. It's where we can communicate with you about the upcoming book and other things. But also, we're going to send out a survey very soon, probably a few days after this airs. And we're going to actually we're not going to project, okay? We're going to see what you say. And that's going to actually lead the next, the choices we make. See, when I started this podcast initially, I was like, oh, people want to hear me do a podcast. But I didn't survey you, right, Tara? I didn't survey our existing audience. And it just, people think like, oh, I'm going to get the same people that watch my cooking videos. It doesn't work that way. A podcast listener is a very unique listener. Podcast relationship is very much a parasocial relationship. Like, I engage in that with podcasts I listen to. Like, I think like I know the person, and of course I want you to think you know me, but this is not exactly me. This is podcast me, and it's just, it was a lot of that where I thought like, hey, people know me on the cooking videos. They're going to all want to hear me talk longer. Yeah. But
that's clearly not the case. Yeah. If you look at the subscriber count on our YouTube channel, it's approaching 830,000 subscribers. And the folks who listen to us on the podcasts, It's a lot less.
It's considerably.
Considerably
it's like
less.
Less than, like, God, I don't even know what the math is.
But that
it's very
doesn't,
small.
I say that, but that doesn't diminish the way we feel about each and every one of you who are listening.
We put our best effort into it every week. And again, it's not over here where we really have to, I could see us if we make a lot of progress on the book coming back to the podcast quicker.
Yeah.
I could see us potentially, and this is what we want to know from you, I could see us stopping the video format here because I would go out on a limb and say even of all of you who do tune in on YouTube, most of the time you probably have your phone down or you're cooking and you're not paying attention to it. That's what I do when I turn on a YouTube podcast.
To be honest, I mean, the amount of time it takes to prep to get in front of the camera and to edit, it takes a lot of time.
Yes.
If we were to just go to an audio format, it would be so much, I don't want to say easier, but there would be less involved with it.
Yeah.
So that's going to be one of the questions we ask in the survey. How do you prefer to consume podcasts? Do you like the video format, or are you good with just audio? Do you prefer once a week, or are you good with every other week? We're trying to strike the right balance here to be able to continue to give you the best possible sip and feast that we can give you.
Yeah.
With the resources that we have. One thing I do want to kind of tease, which we haven't talked about this with any other audience, but I want to let the podcast audience know, we're working on a free pizza ebook.
Yeah, the pizza ebook, that's a good one.
It's already in the works.
Yep.
We are working on it. It's something that I'm hoping will be out within the next couple of months. We're going to use that to kind of test the waters with the cookbook too. But that's going to be our best pizza related recipes. And again, that's going to be free. You'll be able to get it when it comes onto the website, and be sure to, again, if you're not already subscribed to email, subscribe.
There's a million ways to subscribe. It's just subscribe if you want. Maybe you're one of the people who don't like email. And so if that's the case, don't subscribe then.
Or if you would do and you just want to give us your opinion on the survey, then subscribe, wait for the survey to come out. And then if you don't want to get the emails from us, you can unsubscribe,
you can unsubscribe
after you've taken the survey.
It's no skin on my back. It costs a lot of money to maintain the email list with the 65,000 people that are on that list. So, or you can just even give us your thoughts on this, what we're discussing right now.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's helpful to get it in the survey format because
That's
we
right.
are going to ask specific questions that we really do. And the way that we're gathering all of the data from the survey, it'll feed it to us in a way that's helpful for us to analyze and understand.
Yeah.
It's easier than...
And even discussing this right now about what my general belief that it's going to say what I kind of know already, it's not really influencing you because the amount that are listening here is going to be just a tiny portion of the people who get the email. Mm-hmm. So it's not really gonna skew the numbers too much. But maybe I will be completely thrown off and wrong. When we do bring back season 2 of this podcast, when we start up season 2 of this podcast, we are going to thoroughly communicate that with you, and I will communicate it through every venue that I have to let you know that it's coming. Again, I don't think it's going to be coming until we make significant progress on that cookbook. Like, I want the cookbook to be fairly along, and I am really glad that we stopped the idea of doing it with a publisher. I went into it in the past. I will say simply again, a publisher is just, I don't think in the year 2024, I don't think it means anything. I don't. People say, oh, well, you want to be published with one of the big houses. I don't care. I don't care. All I care about is that it's a good product and that you like it. I don't care if it says Simon & Schuster or Random House or Joe Blow's publisher. It's just, I want it to be a good product for you. That's it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah. And that would have just added a ton more friction to the process if we went with a traditional publisher. That's why we stopped. That's why we got scared off. It was going to be 2 years from that initial stuff to the end game. And I was just like, that's insane. It's going to be 2027 when the thing's out. That's like Stranger Things. They're going to be like 38 years old when they finally, when season 5 finally comes out. It's ridiculous,
Yeah.
I want to kind of wrap it up here. I don't know what else to say, but thank you. Thank you for listening each week. Thank you for coming here and being part of this little community that was different than the cooking videos and different than a lot of the other stuff we did. You probably noticed that we got better at it as time went on. It was like, well, the beginning episodes, I was like trying to make it serious. And then now it's like, like
it's more fun.
It is fun. It's a fun thing. It is, and don't let this deter you. If you're thinking about doing a podcast, you can throw your hat in the ring with the other 19.5 million podcasts in the United States of America.
Is that really how many there are?
There's about that many. This is the thing. There's no barriers to entry for a podcast. The cooking videos have a natural barrier, like wall, where people go, I'm not doing that. That Sip and Feast guy can keep doing that. I'm not doing that. But the podcast, anybody can talk. You don't need one of these mics. You can just use your phone and talk into it, record, and post it, and then you might become famous. Tara, you want to help me out here?
Yeah. Was that all you were going to say?
Yeah, I don't know what else to say here. I mean, I'm not. No, look, this is the thing. I don't want to make. I'm not. Like, I don't want this to be like, oh God, like the podcast industry is rough. Like, no, like this podcast, honestly, did really well for being 47 weeks in. I don't know how much better it could have done. I mean, every week we were in the top 100 of food podcasts, which I think is a pretty good accomplishment. It's paradoxically, the rankings will probably keep improving when we stop putting episodes out, because that's what happens, because it's like a long game where people don't find you until months later after you start. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound bitter at all, because I'm not. I actually enjoyed this process. I learned a lot about how to produce another form of content.
Yeah, no, it was great. And honestly, season 1 was so much fun. It was kind of like you said in the beginning, like we had our training wheels on, and now we're kind of coasting and it's fun. And at the same time, it takes energy and it takes resources. And that's why I feel like hitting pause right now and ending the season is a good move for us and for you.
Yeah.
I do want to say a special thank you to those of you who have sent all of your questions in, especially some of you regulars who send me emails every week, sometimes more frequently than that. You've become a part of my life. You've put a smile on my face so many times. So I'm so appreciative, and I hope those emails keep up, even if it's just to tell me how your kids are doing or whatever, in our off season.
There's a lot of communication opportunities that we have, again, through that email, where it is a back and forth thing. That's the best place to write it. I mean, if you go into a recipe and you write it in a recipe at the bottom, it's not like it's not necessarily the best place. This is what I'm saying right now is absolutely. I'm not trying to force you in there at all. These taste tests that we do, these are one of the things that we did enjoy. In some form, they're probably going to continue on our Patreon. So again, not positive about it. I don't think though that. I think that would probably be the most logical place to put them if we continue doing them.
Yeah, I think so.
We bought furniture for in here. We had two nice green chairs. We had a new table. I was going to paint the wall. All of that was going to get done. And then I said, you know what? When we do come back for season 2, that's when you will see it.
That's right.
That's the most logical time to do it.
Yeah, because that also is going to take time. We're not going to hire someone to do it. You're going to.
I wasn't going to hire. I was going to do it myself.
You're going to do all the work.
Yeah, I used to actually do that stuff for a living. I used to work for a handyman type guy, a carpenter in the state of Minnesota, which which is a very different job than what I do now. And I've always been into carpentry and painting and just home improvement in general. So right now when I get to do an occasional thing, I actually look at it as a form of therapy. I do enjoy doing it, though I can't take off for a month to put siding on my house or something. That's not, but I do like these little smaller jobs.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like decent at everything, but not great at anything. That was kind of always my issue.
Well, I think you sell yourself short there.
Yeah. I think I told the story where I really realized I didn't want to do it was we were at a house. It was a big colonial, and they needed a piece of, on the gable, the molding, they needed that replaced, and it was probably like 45 feet high. And I was just like, oh man, the guy I worked for just had like his huge extension ladders. I was like, this is when you start to question things, when you're 45 feet up in the air, looking down.
Didn't you have some like negative 30-degree weather and you had mice
but at least
carcasses falling on your head too?
At least I was on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So anything else before we wrap up? Is there anything else here? No.
No, I think that's it. Again, thank you for listening to season 1. This has been so much fun. It's been such a great learning experience for us. And we are excited for bringing more great content your way.
It is all about you. Ultimately, I think if there was a lot more of you here, we probably would not be taking a pause right now. That doesn't mean we don't appreciate every one of you that did listen. But ultimately, it comes down to what the majority want. And I know, well, I don't know for sure yet until I do that survey, but I highly suspect it's going to be that cookbook.
I think so.
And I can't wait to bring it to you.
Yeah, we're so excited. So again, please, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the email list and share your opinion with us, because we really do. We don't just want it, we need it.
Yeah.
It's so important.
I'm signing up for SurveyMonkey now.
Yeah.
I got to get another subscription.
Yeah.
But it's better than Google Forms.
In fact, our daughter, Sam, she's taking a marketing class right now, and she keeps telling us, I can't believe that you've never surveyed your audience, because her marketing teacher is teaching them about the power of surveying your audience, surveying your clients, whatever business you're in. You need to be getting a pulse on your audience, followers, clients, et cetera, et cetera. So important. It's due for us to do this.
Yeah, it is due. And until we meet again, I bid you adieu.
That was a dad joke.
I tried. We'll see you in probably a couple months.
Thank you.